Hello, Garnet here, and I'd like to talk a bit about the interview style that I like to use when spending time with a person ready to use the Neuro Light. It is, I think, applicable to all the three categories: brain exercise, help right now, and even brain shaping in its own way. So this is what I'd like to offer for you to consider. Three aspects. Number one, be present. Really be there. Be there with the person. You probably know the feeling if you're ever with somebody, some kind of caregiver or somebody, and you feel like they're not there. Their mind is somewhere else. They're not really attentive. They're not connected. That's not a good feeling. So the first thing is be present. Let them be present. The only person you can work with is that person right now. So let them feel now by you being now. That's what I would say kind of factor number one. I don't know if it's a step, but factor number one. Number two, it's an attitude that I recommend. And I hope that this takes some of the stress off of you, which I think it will. The number two is accept the fact that the person themselves is the best authority about themselves. Now, what you've got to do is help them come to that, kind of mirror them in such a way that the understandings come out of them. Number one, I think it's true. Number two, it's going to feel good for them. And number three, it takes the pressure off of you. You don't have to be the wise person that has all these incredible insights. I highly recommend that you really resist projecting your ideas into them. Don't try to inject into them your idea about what's best for them. Now, if you have expertise, you can, in a very artful way, introduce ideas, but be careful. Don't jump in and tell them what their experience is. So that's the second point. Trust that their inner guide or inner guru or true self or whatever you want to call it, that the person themselves, given the chance, given the help maybe, are really the best authority about themselves. That's number two. Number one, be present. Number two, let them be the authority. This is number three, which is a little bit more elaborate, not just an attitude. It is a mirroring, like look in a mirror process of getting into a discussion. It's usually called active listening. In active listening, it will seem that you're a fantastic conversationalist, but in fact, what you're doing is you're letting them guide the conversation. I'll explain more. Now, if they just start to talk, you can jump right into the active listening. If they don't start to talk, then you have to somehow engage, and almost always, not always, but almost always I do it with this. Some of you might be aware of it if you've been around me. I ask them a question. I say, would you like more of something good or less of something bad? I'll repeat that. Would you like more of something good or less of something bad? Now, it's a kind of a little bit of a control interrupt. It destabilizes the mind a little bit. And then what you're going to find, and this is only my opinion, I can't say this with certainty, but it's my experience, that people that will be tending to idealize their situation will say, oh, I want more of something good. The people that are more present will tend to say, oh, I want less of something bad. Now, I think that's true. It might be false, but that's the way it seems to me. So, if they say, oh, I want more of something good, I always say, oh, what is that you'd like more of? What is the good thing? And they'll say, oh, well, it'll take them a little bit, and they'll come up with something, and they'll say, oh, peace. I want more peace. I say, okay, what's stopping you from having more peace? Oh, I worry too much. Oh, so actually, if I could help you worry less, then you could have more peace. They say, yeah. I say, would you like me? So it's a very, and you can use whatever opener that you want. I like to use that one. So if the person starts to talk right away, you go into active listening, which I'll explain now. If they don't start and engage with conversation with some explanation, then you've got to get them rolling. And I like that question. It's a provocative question. It goes quickly to the point. Would you like more of something good or less of something bad? If they say the thing that is bad that they'd like less of, then that's pretty easy, right? And you'll see what I mean. If they say they want more of something good, you always ask them, what is that? And if they say love, and I say, well, that's wonderful. What's stopping you from having more love? And they say, oh, self-doubt. It's quite impressive how quickly it can come out. Okay, so either you use the provocative question to get it rolling, or they just start talking. Active listening is like this. They'll say something, and in that sentence, you'll notice that there's at least one hot word, one word that kind of jumps out. And you let them say what they say, then at the end of it, you repeat back the hot word, either just as the word, right? Oh, whenever I come home, I'm always rushed, and the next thing you know, everybody is complaining to me. So I would say, oh, complaining. I would just like complaining. I make it an interrogative. Even kind of tilt my head a little bit like a puppy. Right? Complaining. They say, yeah, it's like this endless stream of picking me apart. I've worked all day, I come home, and I really would like to have just a moment to rest, but then they start to complain. I say, oh, really? Just a moment to rest. They say, yeah, And what'll happen, oftentimes in about 5 exchanges back and forth, you will arrive in recognition with them as the complete authority. You didn't project or interject. You just chose a hot word, repeated it back in a little question or an interrogative or a short, terse statement, and let them come to this point. And the point will typically be a very meaningful or significant feeling state that they have, and they recognize it right there in the moment. Sometimes people will say, I said, oh really? You just feel like nobody values you. And they go, let's say it arrived at that. And they say, it's the story of my life. I go, whoa. So that gives you the entry point into a session. Now it can be, the brain exercise is a little bit more simple than that. We talked about the assessment techniques in a different video series. This works really well for the help right now, and also works as you stage different aspects of brain shaping. Let them tell you what they need so you can make the choices. And of course you have to have some, growing understanding of what all your choices are in the Neuro Light, which you will. So this is my suggestion on the interview style. Truthfully, the whole thing seldom takes more than 10 minutes. Once you get good at it, 5 to 10 minutes pretty much does it. Keep in mind, you can't work with the person they want to be. You can work with the person they are in the moment, at that time, and then help them go to where they want to go. You can't just make choices of where they want to be. If a person comes and they're a high jumper and they can only jump, 5'5" and they want to jump 6'5", well, you've got to start with where they are at 5'5", and then 5'6", 5'10", 5, and then take them up. Unless you've got some miraculous insight where they can jump suddenly a foot higher, which is possible, but let's face it, that's not too common. All right, thanks very much. Check out the interview style.